What I can tell you is what the Homeland Security has been doing. As you all know, Secretary Mayorkas was at the border just last week. He talked about how they are surging resources to the border, and we have additional robust planning underway. But we need Congress to give us the funds we've requested to do this in a safe, orderly, and humane way. And here's the thing: if Republican Congress are serious about protecting the border, if they are serious about securing the border, if they are serious about the challenges that we're currently seeing, that they should be able to get involved here and make sure that the men and women of the Department of Homeland Security have the resources they need, they are going to need to do their jobs. But again, we need Congress to provide us the additional resources we've requested to do this in a safe, orderly, and humane way. If they are serious, Republicans in Congress are serious about securing the border, then they should assist in making sure the men and women at the DHS have what they need to get this done.
You mentioned surging resources. I had asked you in September specifically about El Paso, and you had said at the time that DHS, the administration, was surging resources to the region, working to quickly decompress the area. Has that surge of resources been maintained for the last several months? And is that sustainable? Now if you're talking about another surge of resources, is that on top of what had already been done in September? And how long can you keep doing a surge like that?
So a couple of things. I mean, that's one of the reasons we're asking for additional funding, that $3.5 billion. So look, this is why we're asking Congress for this additional funding. Again, if Republicans in Congress are serious, if they want to help the men and women at the DHS, they certainly will assist and get this funding to us to get this additional support and resources to the men and women at the DHS.
And there's estimates of 50,000 migrants in Mexico waiting to cross if Title 42 ends. Is that accurate, and would that overwhelm the Border Patrol?
So look, I don't have a number for you at this time. What I can say is that we know smugglers will try to spread misinformation to take advantage of these vulnerable migrants. But I want to be very clear here. The fact is that the removal of Title 42 does not mean the border is open. Anyone who suggests otherwise is simply doing the work of these smugglers who, again, are spreading misinformation and which is very dangerous. When Title 42 goes away, as we have to do because of a court order, which is on Wednesday, as all of you know, we will go back to Title 8, which allows a process to make sure that people can make their asylum claims heard. Those who do not have a legal basis to remain will be quickly removed. And so we will continue to fully enforce our immigration laws in a fair, orderly, and humane manner. But again, we need Congress to deliver on the funding that we're requesting from them. Okay.
A few things on the same topic. You're asking for $3.2 billion roughly from Congress to help pay for all these new or ongoing plans across the border. Let's say that money comes in the omnibus this week. What's the plan after that to work with Congress to address this issue?
Like beyond?
Yeah.
Look, Ed, we have from day one have asked Congress to help us with this issue, right? By putting forward the immigration reform bill. That's on day one that the president had requested that, had asked that. That's to deal with modernizing this broken immigration system that we currently have, and also to really protect our DACA recipients and do so much more. And so we have reached out. We've done outreach to Congress. We have asked them, and by acting, again, putting forth this piece of legislation.
It's resulted in virtually no change in immigration policy with Democrats in charge.
How's
it going to get any easier when Republicans are in charge?
Look, again, we've asked for the $3.5 billion. We're going to continue to ask Congress to assist in helping with, especially congressional Republicans, to help us with what's going at the border if they are indeed serious about doing that. But look, even without their assistance, without many Republicans being involved here, congressional Republicans, we have secured more resources for the border than any president who preceded him, who preceded this current president. He has most agents ever, as I said, the 23,000 agents. And let's not forget, he's taking historic action to seize record levels of fentanyl from entering our country and taking thousands of smugglers off the streets. And that's without many congressional Republicans assisting here. So the president has made this a priority. Now, as we're as Title 42 is going to be lifted on Wednesday because due to a court order, we've put forth a $3.5 billion funding request from Congress. If they are serious about this, if congressional Republicans are serious about this, they would take this up instead of doing political stunts. But again, I stated this to Steve, and I'll say this again, the fact that the removal of Title 42 is happening in just a day or two doesn't mean that the border is open. It just doesn't mean that. Look, we are surging assistance to the border, as I've laid out very clearly. It would be wrong to think that the border is open. It is not open. And I just want to be very, very clear about that. One of the reasons that I want to be very clear that to folks that the border is not open and we will remove using Title VIII is because by not being very clear on that, we are doing the work of the smugglers who are going to put forth misinformation. So we want to be very clear on that piece.
I know you've been asked about this before, but just yesterday, Representative Cuellar told Face the Nation that he wants to see President Biden go to the border. He said it doesn't have to be for a photo op, but a leader has to show images of being up there in front. So does the president have any plans to go to the border? Is now a good time to go?
Like you said, I've addressed this before. Look, the president's focus right now is to come up with solutions. It's focused on making sure that we have the resources to manage the challenges that we're seeing at the border. And right now, as you know, we have a budget request in front of Congress. And again, if congressional Republicans are serious about dealing with the challenges that we're seeing at the border, they will assist.
More important than going on.
But given what we're seeing at the border,
I just answered the question. I just said we've litigated that back and forth here for the past 2 weeks or so. The president's focus right now is to make sure that we have the resources to manage what's happening right now.
More important than going on.
Look, we're surging resources to the border. We're going to continue to do the work that is needed. We saw from the graphs what that looked like, what the resources were. We're going to ask for the additional funding, the $3.5 billion additional funding requests from Congress, and we want to make sure that we're really truly addressing this challenge. Again, the 23,000 agents that we're currently seeing at the border, that is because of the work that this president has done, and these are this is a historic number of agents that we see at the border. Again, we're going to continue to ask for additional funding from Congress to assist us in dealing with this challenge at this time.
The resources, though, that you laid out at the top, specifically in El Paso, there's video that was just released by one Republican member of Congress to show that it's really not making a difference. There was one border patrol facility on Friday. He says there are 4,600 migrants in that facility. Its capacity is 1,040. And we're still, Title 42 is still in place they're at 4 times their capacity right now. So is the view that this is working, that those resources are working, that you guys have said are from the work of this president is that sufficient? Is it working?
I mean, we're asking for $3.5 billion in additional funding to help us, right, with the challenges that we're seeing. So if congressional Republicans are serious about this, serious about dealing with the challenges that we're currently seeing, then they would assist in making sure the men and the women of the DHS has the resources that they need. In the meantime, the Department of Homeland Security is surging resources to the border and have additional robust planning efforts underway. And so, again, we're asking for additional funding. We are surging resources. But if they truly, truly want to assist, instead of doing political ploys like they have been for the past several months, they will, adhere to our funding request that we've put forward.
A little bit to Ed's question, though, this push from the podium to get Republicans to send more resources to the border. A lot of them say that, they hesitate to throw more money at a problem. The Homeland Security Secretary saying that the border is secure, and some of the people who'd have to vote on that bill also don't have a lot of details on what's in it and where that money goes. But all that aside, if you're saying that Republicans aren't doing the work to get this done, and then you have someone like Joe Manchin saying, well, the president has the ability to ask for an extension, he should be asking for an extension because we're at this point where you've got a deadline and a crisis. Is that within the president's authority to do that?
So look, we remained under a court order to lift Title 42. That is a court order.
driving it, though?
That is a court order that is telling us to lift Title 42, and we're going to comply because we follow the rule of law.
But the
That
administration sought to lift
that
it.
is, but it is a court order.
But
that
started by you guys.
It was a court order that has been provided to us, and so now we have to comply, and that is we have to comply by December 21st. It is a law that has been put
don't
forth.
support lifting
What I'm
Title
saying
42?
is that,
Or-
what I'm saying that it is a court order that has been presented to us that we are going to comply with. But what we have been hearing from Republicans and seeing from Republicans in Congress is political ploys. They're not assisting. They're not offering any assistance. Many of them are not. And so we are asking right now, if they are serious about this, they are serious about dealing with the challenges, then they would adhere to our funding request. And I want to be really careful. Again, look, Title 42 is going to be lifted. Yes, it will. But we are going to move to Title 8. The border is not open. And so I want to be very clear about that because we were doing the smuggler's job if we spread misinformation. And so, again, just want to be very clear about that, and so I'm going to move on. Okay.
Karine, with regards to Manchin, just to put a fine point on it, because he did go on to say that I think the administration is doing that or will do that with regards to an extension. There are no plans to ask for any sort of an extension. Is that what you're saying?
What I can tell you is we are required by court order to lift Title 42. That's December 21st, and we're going to comply with that order. Any other additional questions about any legal actions, I would refer you to Department of Justice.
Karine, Texas Governor Abbott said that if Title 42 expires, that the border would be, quote, total chaos. Is that a correct assessment, or what's your response to that?
Here, what I can say, and I've answered this question many which ways from your colleagues today, what I can say is that Department of Homeland Security is surging resources at the border at this time, and we have additional robust planning efforts underway. And, we need Congress to give us the funds we've requested to do this in a safe, orderly, and humane way. And again, I'll say this one last time: if Republicans in Congress are serious about the border security and actually addressing this challenge, they would ensure that the men and women at the Department of Homeland Security have the resources that they need to do their jobs. And so that's what we're going to continue to ask for and request. But again, we are doing the work. The president has been doing the work at the border since day one by first putting forth the immigration reform legislation and also securing funding, historic funding to Department of Homeland Security, that 23,000 agents, that matter. That is something we have not seen under any other president. Now we're asking congressional Republicans to assist and do the same. Thank you.
What about the Biden administration funding anti-Semitic organizations?
Thanks, guys.